Pregame.com.
NBA action Friday night. The Miami Heat invade the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm Marco D'Angelo. I'm joined by Scott Spreitzer. Scott, the big question, the Philadelphia 76ers, are they a contender or a pretender? We're gonna find out. They got a tough schedule this week.
Oh yeah, they do. When I was breaking down their schedule of who's coming up, you've got, of course, Wednesday night they played Chicago. Of course, they got Miami on Friday. At Atlanta after that, they've got home games in the mix against the Lakers, Spurs, and Clippers. So Philadelphia all of a sudden goes from playing Cupcake City for most of the start of the season to really having to take on the elite teams in the league. And, there's a really good site out there that I use for handicapping purposes that breaks NBA teams down into A, B, and C categories, A being best, C being softest. And they had noted that the Sixers going into Wednesday night had compiled a 14-3 spread mark against the Bs and the Cs, and it only covered 1 of 3 against those A teams. So we're going to really find out a lot about the Sixers. I'm a big Doug Collins fan. I like that he's gotten the culture of losing away from Philly in a pretty quick fashion. Now it's, can they take it to that next level? And Miami's this week, right now as we speak, one of the hottest teams in the league, obviously, having won 5 in a row and 8 of 9.
Well, what I'm looking at here, yeah, Miami is hot right now. Dwayne Wade returned. We're taping on Wednesday night for these videos, so we don't have the outcome of Miami plays tonight and Philly plays tonight as well. Situation is, since Dwayne Wade came back on Friday, Miami's won 3 games, and they've played very well. This is going to be a test. This is a revenge game for Philly, and when they played the first time, Philadelphia was in a bad situation as far as scheduling. And I don't know about you, but this NBA season, the first thing you got to look at when you sit down to handicap NBA is you got to look at how many games they've played in the last X number of days, because the schedule maker is different this year than any other year. You have 3 games in 4 nights. We've had rare 3 games in 3 days, and there's been stretches where there's been 6 games in 8 days, which is going to affect a ball club. When they played the first time, Philadelphia was in one of those negative scheduling situations. And what Miami did, and this is going to be the basis of my play, Miami came out and ran at Philadelphia. They played an up-tempo in that game.
A smart approach.
Right, because they knew Philly was on a road trip. They were in, the long stretch there, and they made the tempo fast, and that's the way the game played out. And that was the highest point total that Philadelphia gave up all year long. At home, they're averaging giving up 81 points a game at home. They play great defense at home, and I think they're going to make a point of it, and they're rested. The last 7 games, they've only played 1 back-to-back game. They've had at least a day off in between all of their games. So, and they've been at home now, I think, this will be the 6th straight home game for Philadelphia. So no travel worries, no, fatigue issues for Philadelphia. This is going to be a big game for them. I'm going to go with the under, and I think we're going to get an inflated total in this game because of that first game. In my play, I'm projecting, handicapping it out. I've got this at like 182. We're taping on Wednesday, so we don't have an actual line. We're projecting the line to be Miami -2 in this game, but for the over-under, so many things play into the Wednesday night game if anybody's hurt and stuff. No way we're going to see a 182 in this total. So we're going to have plenty of room for the under when that line comes out, and that's going to actually be my video best bet this week.
The Sixers may get back Spencer Hawes for this game also. He was doubtful for the Wednesday night game, and we're obviously, as you said, taping before the game tips off. But he was doubtful for Wednesday. I should say he's questionable for Friday, so he may play, which helps Philly. He didn't play the last time these 2 teams met either. And you mentioned, what's the first thing to go on a basketball team when you're tired and you're worn out? It's your legs. Well, how about the fact they were out-rebounded 52-31 in that game, whether they gave up 54% shooting, and in fact, Miami hit 45% or 44.5% from area code 3 in that game. It was a situation. I remember watching the game and watching the Sixer players unable to get back. I mean, they were just a worn-out basketball team, so it's a completely different situation coming off a night of rest, as is Miami. And then you mentioned their defensive play. I don't care if you're playing cream puffs or not in the NBA. There's so much talent throughout the league. They've given up 72 points per game in the last 3 games on this current win streak going into Wednesday night. I don't care who you're playing. If you're holding teams to 72 points per game, besides, as you mentioned, what they do at home overall for the season, you're doing some things right more often than you're doing things wrong. And I do believe that in that situation and coming off of rest, revenge, an overused term in the world of handicapping, but they are going to have that on their mind for getting blasted. They want to show that they're not the team that Miami saw back then. The one thing that you said about Dwayne Wade coming back, watched him earlier this week when they took on New Orleans. First time this season that I can recall, and I haven't seen every one of their games, but the first time this season, and I've probably seen half a dozen Miami games, where Dwayne Wade looked like he had his rhythm back offensively, and he had, I think it was 15 points in the second quarter against New Orleans, which made the difference in that game, pulled away from the Hornets, and they go on to win big. But it was the first time that I saw him scoring in the flow or in the context of what Miami wants to do on the offensive end.
Well, you know, obviously when he's in the lineup, it's going to make LeBron James that much better. And while he was gone, the guy that's actually stepped up, it wasn't LeBron James. It's been Chris Bosh. The guy's been playing, you know, the best ball I've seen him play since he's come to Miami with the, you know, the big three amigo, you know, trade and everything. But even everything said, I like Doug Collins as a coach. He's going to try to, he knows he doesn't have the offensive weapons to try to play that kind of game. And Miami was correct in playing that fast tempo against them because they were tired and he didn't have the weapons. On their floor, they're going to dictate the tempo. And like I said, Miami is a team that we talk about marquee teams. You're always going to have value two places with them when you got a Miami game. Going against them because of the big three. And the over-under is always going to be probably a point or two more than it should be set because Vegas knows, the public knows Miami and all the talent that they have in the score.
The public doesn't think about defense. They think about Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh. We're looking at points, and that's why it happens.
And then they look at that one score, and they're going to say, oh, you know, 113 to 92, and that's all they're going to do. They don't go inside the box score and understand, you know, just really how the makeup of that game was. So I'm going with the under. Anything else you want to add on this?
I'm with you. We're in agreement on this one. I like the under also.
All right, that's my best bet. Now, what we do every week when we have a best bet is we give a coupon for $10. And got to apologize to my producer, Dustin. I didn't get him the coupon before we went on air. But it is Super Bowl 10. Since it is Super Bowl week, Super Bowl 10 is the coupon. And when you go to Pregame Pros, just go to pick whatever packages you want. When you get to the shopping cart, just enter that code, Super Bowl 10, all one word, the number 10. You'll get $10 off. And Scott, we say it every week, if the package happens to be $10, it's totally free on RJ. And
awesome.
RJ doesn't he doesn't like too many free ones, so
we'll give you $10 for lunch when we go out. What do you mean? Jeez.
I wonder if let's try taking a coupon to lunch and see if we can get $10 off on our lunch. You think that'll work?
Well,
I wouldn't bet on that one. All right, he's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We got one more video left. We're going to talk about some Super Bowl props on the next one. Big game coming Sunday, I hear. You know?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. You're not allowed to say Super Bowl in Vegas.
Oh, I've heard that too. I've done a lot of radio shows where you're not allowed to say it. So the big game.
Yeah, the big game. We'll be right back.